Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am AmalgamAsh, and this is BREWMASTER by Airlock Digital, a game made in Unreal Engine that is a beer brewing simulator. Do not try to replicate anything seen in-game in real life. Analytics, we'd like to know more about how you play BREWMASTER. To do that, blah, blah, blah. And blah, 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 blah. That's fine. That's fine. So really important, this is a game about brewing beer. Now this doesn't quite jive with a lot of the other types of games that I play on the channel, but it does jive a little bit with the fact that I have drank and reviewed beers for my own personal sort of video beer journal on the channel previously, and I will continue to do that in the future, I think, and especially would like to show how I brew beer, but that's something that I'd like to do once I get a little bit better at it, and I think that this game will help me do that. Plus, it's a video game. Plus, Airlock Digital are a team of very kind and very talented developers, and I'm not just kissing butt. I had a look at their careers page on their website. Airlock Digital seems like an awesome place to work. I would work for Airlock Digital in a heartbeat if I had any of the talents that they needed on their team. So I'm going to read. We're really glad you're here to try out this early version of BREWMASTER. The alpha is a small snapshot of the game so we can get feedback to help us improve it. Now this is an alpha, but this is cleared for content creation use. So this a lot of what you see is going to be the typical, could be replaced in a future version, probably will be replaced, mechanics, visuals, anything like that. We're going to be honest and react honestly while we are playing. The recipe guide and menu UI is a placeholder. Good to know. This alpha contains only a fraction of the ingredients and equipment in the full game, and brewing beer is actually, well, you might not have any interest in it, but it is somewhat of a complex, touchy process, and there's a lot that can go wrong. There's actually a lot of different varieties of beer. Somebody who drinks, you know what? Let's just go ahead and start, and I'll explain all that as I play. The final game will include progression systems and a story. The chemical simulation and tasting sequence will be improved. Maybe we'll get a little bit of taste-o-vision. That's not a word. Other features, such as decorating the workshop, competitions, and creating beer labels are absent, but that implies that they will not be absent in a future version. Okay, enjoy. New game. The button was way over there. Oh. Alright, so first of all, that's very fast mouse movement, and I don't want to be that guy, but I do have viewers on the channel who would find this to be a little sickening to watch, and myself, I have a hard time playing these games in a manner that, even intentionally trying not to make anybody sick. So let's see. Oh, get a main menu. No, I don't want to go. Okay. Alright, so having an option here would be awesome. And maybe there is an option and I just haven't run into it yet. So we have a hot bar, which I find fascinating. That just goes to show you there's a lot that can go into brewing beer. We got a fridge. We can get into the recycling. I don't know what that thing is. Cleaning up spills? Maybe? Open the fridge freezer. What do we have? Fill date. So you can actually brew beers, very specific processes, very specific ingredients, and fill beer orders. And you can do this with different ingredients like malt extracts, which we don't own any right now, different hops, which it looks like we've got some British hops, some Cascadian hops, some Pacifica, and bittering hops, and yeasts. Yeast play a big part in brewing as well. We have American ale yeast, Belgian ale yeast, and British ale yeast. The yeasts can make a difference in whether or not you are brewing an ale or a lager. But we don't have anything we can do in there right now, I don't think. Sink? Let's see. We'll move slowly so I don't agitate anybody who is potentially sensitive. The kitchen hob. This can be used? Yes. You can increase and decrease the temperature by mouse wheel. That is so clever. I love it. That's intuitive, guys. Right click to cancel. I like it. No, hey, turn that off. Turn that off. Turn that all the way off. I would like to step away. Okay. Calendar, advance time. You might want to advance time automatically because once you have finished putting together your initial set of ingredients and pitching your yeast, you've got the wort, and you can step away from that for a while, maybe a few hours, maybe a few days, depending on what it is you're trying to brew, maybe even a couple of weeks. So I can see it being very handy to advance the time, and then it becomes a process by which you step away and leave it alone. You might check on it just to make sure things are going well, but you'll come back and then you'll do a set of steps, and it'll be an intensive hands-on process again for a while, and then you get away from it again for maybe days, weeks, maybe months. And then you talk about brewing. Some things can be aged for years. You do not currently own any steepable grains. There's base malt, kiln malt, crystal malt, adjunct sugars. All right, awesome. The equipment cupboard, what's in here? We've got mash tuns, we've got brew pots, we've got fermentation containers, we've got barrels, we've got tubes, we've got cooling and heating. If you are interested in brewing, you don't have to have all this stuff. You can start out very small and very surprisingly simple with a pot. There are ways to get things going, multi-phase with very little equipment. You'll want to pay very close attention to the sterility of everything that you're working with, though, if you do go that route. So just something to keep in mind. And I'm going to repeat the disclaimer shown at the beginning. Don't try anything you see here in real life. They just don't want you brewing beer because of what you see in the game necessarily, which is perfectly reasonable. Okay, so we can't go outside, so we do have to start getting some stuff together and trying to actually play the game. Looks like we have lots of places to put our beer. This is great. What a beautiful setup. This makes me want to build a room in real life and put fermenters up. I wonder if I can get a tour of my local microbrewery. Would you guys like to see that? I bet you somebody out there would like to see that. If I could get a tour and tell them I don't want to brag, but I'm an influencer. Throw up in my mouth a little bit. I have brewed some tea. It's lovely. It's hot. It's delicious. It looks like these things have a price, but they're in my cabinet, so let's please take them. Are they in my hot bar? Oh, yes, they are. Whoops. Let's stow those items. Ah, I see. Very good. All right, we took out some yeast. Let's grab some hops, too. We'll go ahead and grab some British hops, and we'll go ahead and retrieve 10 grams. We've got yeast and hops. We don't have any malt extract, though. Let's go ahead and grab some base malt, as well as some adjunct sugar. Why not grab 500 grams of Belgian Pilsner? Now that... Oh, the name is over here. This is Belgian Pilsner. Pilsner's a pretty good beer. I like Belgian Pilsner. Sorry, I like Pilsner. I don't know for a fact that I've had Belgian Pilsner. American Pale, Dark Munich, the Crystal Malts, Ultra Pale Crystal, and Pale Crystal. I would like to work in this environment for a few months and really take it all in, really learn how this is done. This is fascinating to me. Let's take some Belgian Pilsner. If I didn't already, I did not. Now let's take a mash tun, small, and a brew pot, a fermentation container. Let's take a barrel. Let's take a tube. I might be out of space. Portable gas burner, immersion coil. The immersion coil, I have not used one of those. That's for cooling? That is interesting as all get out. Alright, so we can now switch over to our number pad, which is not doing anything for me. yet. I can rotate the item that I'm holding. Why can I do that? I wonder. F1 for the recipe guide. Oh, a step-by-step guide to making Airlock Digital. I love it. An American Pale Ale with a fruity kick. Retrieve a stainless steel... Oh, okay. We're actually going to follow the instructions. And to do that, we're going to restart the game. Alright, we're back in our kitchen with our recipe guide. Let's follow it properly. Retrieve a stainless steel pot small from the equipment cupboard. Place the pot in the sink and remove the lid. No problem. Let's go over to the sink. Ah, I see now. V to remove lid. I'm sure after I do that 100 times it'll become more intuitive, but for now, I'm very slow and cautious. And let's fill up the pot. Oh, we can be very, very precise with how much we're filling the pot up with. That's insane. Fill with 20 liters of water. Press T to activate stopwatch mode, then use the mouse wheel to accelerate time. Alright. Oh god. That's... Of course it's too much. That's amazing. It actually overfilled and it spilled out. Let's pick that up. And then, note how it doesn't slosh around in my magical pot. R? I seem to be unable to open the recipe guide from here, which is probably fine. 20L. Oh wow, you can be very precise. We're gonna keep pouring until we're at 20,000 ml. Oh god. No, stop! That's good. Jeezums. Alright, so I'm about 1,000 ml short. Should we be precise? Nah, this is the ash variant. From the equipment cupboard, retrieve a basic mash tun, small. From the ingredients cupboard, retrieve the following grains. That's too many instructions, I'm gonna forget. Shouldn't I place the... Let's place it before I do anything else. Or else... Lovely physics. Or else I'm gonna feel overwhelmed. Let's grab a mash tun. Once again, from the ingredients cupboard, retrieve the following grains. 4,000 grams of American Pale Ale and 500 grams of pale crystal malt. Tip, these grains will provide the sugars that will eventually be turned into alcohol. We want the American Pale Malt. Let's retrieve 500 grams of that, not corn sugar. I already got that wrong. We need to retrieve 7 more 7 more units. Ah, there we go. And then we need the Pale Crystal Malt. 500 grams. So, by combining these malts, we are creating a blend that will give us a unique flavored beer. And it is from the sugars in these malts, these natural sugars, that the yeasts will be able to do what they do best and transform those sugars into alcohol and ferment our sugar water so that it becomes spicy bread soda, also known as beer. I made up that part about the bread soda. Alright. Place the basic mash tun on a table, then pour 3,700 grams of American Pale Ale and 400 grams of Pale Crystal Malt into it. To pour into a container, make sure you're holding the ingredient, then press E while looking at a container. Gotta put the tun on the table. Got it, there we go. The hotbar works now. Let's remove the lid. Let's pour in the 3,700? 3,700? Whoops. 3,700. That's a mash tun. I've never seen one of those before. I see that it has a mesh bottom or something close to it. I wonder if that helps the unwanted matter. Ooh, look at it. Look at it. Look at that. Look at that free texture. I've seen that before. All right, 4,700 grams, sir. That's the pale crystal. I poured the wrong thing in. Well, you know what? This is the ash variant. Just fine. This will work just fine. We're gonna pour in the American Pale now. This one I think we'll pour in the correct amount. 3,700 grams. Oh god. That's touchy. Just like it should be. Just like it should be. I completely agree, and this is my official feedback, with the amount of touchiness, because we're not using a scale. And if we did use a scale, that would be great equipment to scale up. Can I put this stuff back into? No, I probably can't do that. A scale. If you used a scale in real life, it would help you be more precise. And precision, I believe, is something that comes with more preparedness or more experience, one or the other. Both of those things would be things you would level up or play the game a little more to be able to acquire. So a scale would be something you can invest in a little bit later to get exact amounts. So just a thought that I had. We'll need to retrieve the stainless steel pot from the sink. It's actually on the kitchen hob already, so good thing I was thinking there. 75 degrees Celsius. Press G to enter X-ray mode, and then look at the container to see its current temperature. Gotta stow the item. Gotta stow the item into our pockets. We're just walking around with pockets full of mash, or malt. Alright, we want to go to 75 G, whatever that is. Let's see. Alright, we want to go to 75 degrees Celsius. We're going to push G to enter X-ray mode. That's not... Is that 75 degrees Celsius? Maybe? Ah, there's the X-ray. The temperature is 13 degrees Celsius. Ah, we're going to wait for that to go to 75. This is why we have the ability to skip time, right? No, we'll actually let that go naturally while I read the rules here. We're going to remove the pot from the hob and pour 10 liters of the water into the mash tun, so roughly half, after it's reached 75 Celsius. The temperature of the mash tun should reach around 65 Celsius. If it's lower, we will add more hot water. This is so much of what beer making is. It's just very careful and observant step following, because you need this stuff to be precise. Alright, so we've skipped time just a little bit, and it's currently at 23 degrees Celsius, so we can skip time more. We are going to hit that 75 in no time. Alright, so we're at 76 degrees Celsius. We can take the water off of the pot. We'll go ahead and turn the hob all the way off first. Safety first. And it immediately starts to decrease in temperature, so that's good, but it's not decreasing too fast. So we can pour in, oh my god, pour into the mash tun. I wish it were that easy. Alright, so we're gonna do 10,000, and it is dropping in temperature ever so slightly. There we go, but it stayed above 75. It stayed above 75. Stop pouring, stow that away, close the mash tun's lid, and maintain a temperature of around 65°C for an hour. Oh god. Okay, we want to put the pot back on the hob, and we want to actually turn that back on and leave it be. That's gonna stay at about 76. We'll have a supply of hot water. Alright, let's put the lid back on. And now we are in X-ray mode. You can see we have a color, we have a temperature of 65 degrees Celsius right now. We have a specific gravity of 1.004. The specific gravity doesn't mean anything in and of itself, but rather it does tell you kind of the weight and or pressure differential of the liquid within. This is important because you're going to measure it again after fermentation and after priming, so that you know what the difference is between these two measurements, and that difference will tell you what the alcohol content of the liquid is. Now, I may have not explained that very well. Proteins. we are getting proteins. I wonder if that's a byproduct of the yeast doing its thing. That's kind of interesting. Fermentable sugars. We have a rising amount of fermentable sugars. Unfermentable sugars, that must be, is that raising? That's also raising. Okay, I don't know what those things mean. All right, next on the steps. If the temperature drops more than a few degrees, top it up with hot water. This is the mashing stage of brewing, where starches in the grain are broken down into fermentable sugars. Use the X-ray mode to watch the amount of sugar increasing over time. All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's consistent with what I've learned. I can't say I've learned it, I guess, since I wasn't able to repeat it. We will boil the remaining water in the stainless steel pot and then pour all of it into the mash tun. This is the mash out stage of brewing. Raising the temperature prevents any further conversion of starches to sugars. This is very important. This is something that I have not learned to do. So temperature's at 64. Let's go ahead and advance time. I think I started that at, we'll say 10:55. So we need it to be 11:55. But we gotta stop there and pour more water in. Remove that lid. Pour into just a little bit. Gotta get that water up to temp. That might be enough. Is it? We're at 62 degrees. Yeah! We're at 64 degrees. That's actually fine. Let's put a lid on it. Put you back over here. That's super hot. And now we're going to advance time again. Now, I think it'll be fine if I actually let that go to about 60 degrees Celsius. It's 11:56. We're going to pick up our pot and pour the rest of it in. Oh god, I wish I wasn't just picking things up willy-nilly. I meant to click. The camera. I need to be able to invert the controls, guys. And all the water goes in. Beautiful. This is supposed to be relaxing, and while I do feel an initial sense that there is some sort of pressure, it is ultimately more relaxing. Okay, we're gonna actually put this in the sink. We're gonna turn off the hob. Safety first. We're gonna put the lid back on that, and we're going to consult the manual. Move the stainless steel pot containing the wort. Wait a minute. Oh, open the mash tun's tap and drain all the liquid into the stainless steel pot. That's actually what I need to do next. Oh, no. No, what I need to do next is actually read the instructions. Ash, place the stainless steel pot on a lower surface than the mash tun, such as a stool or on the ground. Retrieve a tube from the equipment cupboard. Then attach it to first the mash tun's tap, then to the stainless steel pot's rim. This is something else I have not done. I have not worked with a proper mash. Alright, so we'll pick up the pot and we'll go back to, we've got a stool? Yeah, we do. This place there, take that, place it there. So it went back on the table, oriented the same way, that's fine. Ah, crap. You know what, it's fine. We'll stow that, we'll go to the equipment cupboard, and we'll take a tube out. Very good, we have a tube. I've got one of these tubes in real life, actually. Connect to, but I haven't done this. And then connect it to, that's not what that's not what the tube looks like when I attach it to my equipment. It's a very specific tube. That's fine. Absolutely fine. I'm just having some fun. Now I think E to open the tap. And we are letting all that go in there. So all of your solids are going to stay in the bottom of that mash tun, or as much of them as possible. You're not going to be able to keep everything out. Like, it's not a total filtration system or anything. Don't worry, that comes soon, and if not in this build, probably will be in a future version. And actually, this might receive updates while I'm playing. I don't know. I have until the 29th to play this. So I think I'll be able to get through all of the content that it has to offer before then to show you guys. We'll go ahead and close the tap. We'll detach the tube. I have to hold E. There we go. Let's stow that. Let's pick up the pot. It doesn't slosh anywhere. It's a very magical pot. We'll put that on the tun, stow the tube. And then what? This is kind of fun. Heat it until it is boiling. From the fridge freezer, retrieve the following hops: 10 grams of Cascader and 30 grams of Citra. Hops are used in beer brewing to add bitterness and flavor. Citra will be a lot of the fruity kick we are after for this beer style. So if you don't like hops, you can try to drink beer styles like dark lagers, and then like you won't get the same flavor of hops at all that you would if you were drinking something like an IPA. I like all kinds of beer styles. I actually am on a quest to kind of figure out what my favorites are. I will drink just about anything from a red lager to a dark ale to an IPA to a red ale. My favorite kind of beer, I think, is the Oktoberfest lager. Alright, let's advance time until this is boiling, which it will be boiling at 100 degrees Celsius. Alright, it's pretty much there. Where are we going? We're going to the freezer. And they wanted Citra? I don't remember how much Citra they wanted. 10 grams of Cascader, 30 grams of Citra. Yeah, this goes all the way back to the beginning of the process, which I have not engaged in myself personally at all. 10 grams of Cascader, 30 grams of Citra. Note how the hops come in cheesecloth. They kind of look like they're in tea bags. Place the Cascader hops into the stainless steel pot and continue boiling for 50 minutes. Keep an eye on the X-ray mode to see the IBU, or the International Bittering Units, ticking up. Nice. And place the Citra hops to the same pot and continue to boil for 10 minutes. Boiling flavor hops for longer than 10 minutes can cause their flavors to start to break down. This is incredibly complex, guys, I have to say. The first thing I need to do, put in the Cascader hops and advance time. Alright, so the IBU has now started to... there it is. The IBU has started to tick up. I don't recall what time I started that. Uh-oh. How long have you been in there? That's probably good. This is the ash variant after all. And now let's put in the Citra hops. Do I have to remove those hops to put in the Citra hops? Yes. Alright, we just want 10 minutes for this. So it's 16:19 at 16:27 and some change. We're going to take them out. Alright. Remove both hop bags. It wasn't apparent to me that I could have both in the same time. And take the stainless steel pot off the hob. You have completed the boil stage of brewing. I feel like I've learned something. Retrieve the following from the equipment cupboard: an immersion coil and 2 tubes. Uh-oh. Alright. So, stow that. Hob first. Turn it off. Take that, set it there on the counter. Let's put in our ingredients. I don't need those anymore. and put that in our equipment cupboard. I need 2 tubes and an immersion coil. Alright, cool. It's very hot. But connect the first tube to the intake of the immersion coil, then to the sink tap, then the second tube to the outtake, then to the sink basin. This cools the wort by running cold water through the immersed coil before the water drains back out into the sink. Beautiful. I completely understand. It has everything to do with cooling it without adding anything. Get on there. Into the pot. Connect that to the outtake, and then connect to the tap. And then that's not right. Can I do it backwards? Will you just let me do it backwards, I wonder? Yeah. Apparently, looks like we have liquid flowing through it, even though oh, what happened? Now, I'm sending it backwards through there, but the water pressure should come out the other side. It's not. That's not going to work. Alright, that's my bad. That's my bad. Don't worry about it. We're going to detach the tubes. Do this the right way. We're going to connect a tube to the sink, to the intake tap, and then from the outtake tap to the sink. Open the tap. That's weird to watch because it makes me think I didn't do it right, but it looks like it's working. So that is now lowering in temperature. What a lovely way to do that. I love that. It makes me want to get my own. Oh, resume, please. Wrong button. When it has dropped below 23 Celsius, then we will remove the immersion coil. Then we will retrieve a fermentation container. A fermentation container from the equipment cupboard and the northeast ale yeast from the fridge freezer. Alright, we can do that now. That would be from, that's the American ale yeast. We'll take that. Take that fermentation container small. Now this I have one of these. I have a 5-gallon, maybe a 4-gallon with an airlock that looks very similar to that. And I have done this stage of things. We can actually just put that on the table for now. Oh. Wow, that looks weird. Okay, now we would like to advance time. Oh god, that dropped way too cold. Okay. Turn the tap off, please. And I bet you we have to do this business again, don't we? Remove the immersion coil. Let's go put this stuff back into... Well, no, I might need the tubes. Let's see how the game treats this first. Resume. Wrong button again, Ash. Simply pour the wort into the stainless steel pan, into the fermentation container. Top up the fermentation container with water from the sink tap until it contains 20 liters. To add water, connect it via a tube to the sink tap. Okay. Okay. Well, fine. I probably will try to see if I can do that without using a tube. I'd like to just slosh it in, if possible. We don't need that crap. And put you back in my equipment cupboard as well. I can't believe that worked. Alright, remove the lid. I love the lid removing animations. Pick that up. Pour it right in. All of it. Just slosh it in there. 14, almost 1500 ml. That's it. I lost a lot of that in the boiling process, huh? Alright, let's go see if I can't just fill it up. I know this is an Ash variant, but 5,000, that's a little much. So we'll speed this up till we get about 3,000. Alright. Close the tap, pick that up, pour it in. Again with that. I keep daring it to slosh over. I'm glad that that's not a feature. At the same time, I'm like, it should have been a feature. I don't know if I want it to be a feature or not. I think I would like it to be a feature, but I'd like it to be an option. If you pour too hard, it just goes everywhere. Because it could happen in real life, and not that it's ever happened to me. All right, now I think we can pitch our yeast, right? Yes, pour the Northeast Ale yeast into the container, then attach the lid. The fermentation stage of brewing is where the yeast turns the fermentable sugars into ethanol. Love it. Pour into. Call it pitching. Call it pitching. You did say all of it, right? I'm going to pour all of it in there. All right. It's all in there. Put the lid back on. That's it. So I'm going to tell you about the Airlock. For those of you who are still around to watch me make beer, this Airlock can be filled with distilled water, or some people like to pour alcohol in there, or vodka. Something like that will work. As the yeast starts to turn the alcohol or sugars into alcohol in the process of fermentation, they're going to release CO2, which means this is getting carbonated. So carbonation needs to escape some way, right? You don't want this thing to explode, so that's why you have the airlock. And so if you'll watch my crosshairs, the carbon, the air pressure, will come out of the container and it will travel through this cap, which is not on all the way. It's off just enough to let things escape. But nothing can get into the tube because of this bit of liquid right here, this bit of sterile liquid. So this keeps all the nasty bugs and dust and anything like that out, and it lets the pressure escape safely. This is one of the most sterile ways you can set up your airlock, and you can leave it alone for a long time, 15 days in this case. So we're going to advance time by, oh, not that long. This might be an ash variant, but let's do 14 days and see what happens. It is ticking down quietly. I like how it actually gets dark in the kitchen to let you know. I'm not sure if there's a way to make that advance faster instead of just tick down. I guess they're giving you the option to stop it if you feel like you need to stop the time, because you might need to take care of other beers at the same time. So that's it. We now have a specific gravity of, it's still 1.01. Let's actually see what to do next. The ABV stat is increasing as the fermentable sugars decrease. You can also remove the lid to take a peek at the Krausen, the foamy head that forms in the liquid as the yeast does its job. I didn't know that's what that was called. I'm learning all kinds of things. This is really cool, guys. Let's look at that Krausen. Let's put that closer to the table. There's the Krausen. The ABV is currently 5.55%. That's about 11 proof. 5.5 is just fine. This might be a very tasty beer. They've really put a lot of thought into this process. I really appreciate that. Alright, from the equipment cover, we're going to get a plastic barrel and then a bag of corn sugar, 200 grams of corn sugar into the fermentation container. This is to give the yeast something to feed on during the conditioning stage so that it carbonates the beer. And then we'll attach a tube. Gotcha. We'll just put that in there. Grab 200 grams of corn sugar. Are you grabbing it? Oh, it is. It's just, it comes in one size. Need that barrel. Need that tube. barrel here. Remove the lid. Corn sugar. 200 G, so we're going to have 300 Gs left over. Ooh! A little bit more. There we go. Good yeasties. Did they say 300 or 200? Why do I not remember? Pour 200. Okay, I did it right. And connect. And connect. And open the tap. Not the tap. Hold on. Okay. Tap. Alright. We'll open both taps. There it is. That amber colored liquid is the beer. Oh, there's the Krausen. That's very foamy. Lovely. Oh, I'm an idiot. See, in real life I would remove the lid, but that's not something that I did because, you know, idiot as aforementioned. Take the tube away. Remove the lid. There we go, Ash. Practice not being an idiot. And now, there. Now we're going to advance time. And all done. Put the lid back on. I like how it automatically closed the tap on that because I think I forgot to do it. Okay. Place that in there, place that in there. Pick up our fermentation container, place that in there. Pick up our plastic barrel and put that somewhere. Guess we'll put it on the table. Looks like we could taste beers here. That's awesome. It just says to leave it for 15 days. All right, so we'll use the calendar. All right, it's been 15 days, not in real life, but in the game, and we are ready to go taste our beer. So, to do that, move the plastic barrel to the tasting room and start the tasting sequence by interacting with the draft taps while holding the barrel. Congratulations on brewing some Airlock Digital. Let's do it. Can't wait to taste this beer. Nice. I wonder how different this is going to look every time we brew beers. Like, what are the noticeable differences that we'll see? Color. This is a paler beer instead of a dark. And the carbonation is just a little more flat than it is very high, which is just fine. You don't want to have a super fizzy beer or anything. Batch size. This was an 18.7 liters, a small batch. It is a slightly hazy clarity. This is only one of 4 pages of details. Let's learn more about this. The taste. This is more malty and sweet than it is hoppy and bitter. It scores a 3.8 on the crisp and clean. Not sour and tart, not dark and roasted. It is a high mark on the malty and sweet and a high mark on fruit and spice. It is not smoky, it's not off, which is a great thing, and it's very low on the hoppy and bitter. Notes of citrus, lime, lemon, that sounds great. Ester, grapefruit, melon, passion fruit, tropical fruit, biscuit. It's a bit nutty. That's a small amount of nutty, probably not worth mentioning, as well as the caramel and honey notes after. The ABV sits right in the middle, about 5.6. I like that. I've had some really good beers between the 5.2 and 6.5 range. The bitterness is 27.6 IBUs. This is not a measurement I'm familiar with. It's going to be very interesting to try to research and see what the different beers I've drank in real life have as far as this rating go, just so I can kind of develop a taste for it and be able to communicate what kind of IBU level I like, what kind of bitterness I like. It has a medium body and an unimplemented contamination, which is a great thing, to be honest. The final gravity is 1.013. And the last page, 50% Scottish export, 50% New England IPA, 50% this category is probably being worked on. Belgian blonde ale, strong bitter, American porter. Standard flavors, fruit and spice, then malty and sweet. And I found that to be really, really cool. If you'd like to share screenshots or video from the game, look out for the survey. Definitely will be doing that. So that was a worthwhile and fun and educational and calming experience. I really highly enjoyed that. I didn't find anything too particularly difficult. Once I found out that I could just open the tutorial and follow along with that, everything was as clear as just following the steps, and I feel rewarded enough knowing that there were variations that I could easily go back in there and do for each step in order to create my own custom brew, although I don't have first-hand experience with tasting or dealing with any of the ingredients that were in the game, so I won't necessarily be able to intentionally create my own custom brew. It'll be more mixing around random things to see what kind of finish I get, and or to see if I completely ruin a particular brew. But if this experience was interesting to any of my viewers, I would love to know, because this is something that I'm actually very interested in and want to do more of. I don't nearly have the time to do this as much as I would like to in real life, and I actually work with liquid malt extracts, which I would be glad to show you. So this is just an example of a liquid malt extract variety, the liquid malt extract being what we made during the boiling stage. This is just like basically a jar of what looks like maple syrup. It's very, very thick, and it can be boiled in order to, or heated up rather, in order to get it to be more viscous, so that we can mix it with hot water and pitch the yeast. And then once I've done that, we can let it sit. But this is a classic American light, very, very inspired label by Mr. Beer. It has all of the beer nerd information on the side if you're interested in knowing what it might taste like and what the flavor and characteristics are. I've got an Aztec Mexican cerveza from Mr. Beer that I haven't brewed yet, and I've got a Grand Bohemian Czech Pilsner as well. So all of these beers are ones that I plan on brewing. I may or may not get into video making about that process. But again, thank you very much, Airlock Digital, for this. I found it enjoyable and rewarding, and I actually learned quite a bit, especially in the beginning with the boil phase, which I have not dealt with myself, but that gives me more confidence. And I imagine that although I would follow to the letter not to replicate anything you see in the game, I will also tell you, talking out the other side of my mouth, that it's almost one-to-one, the exact same process. They don't go into sanitation and contamination, which they may very well go into those things in a future update and or in the final version of the game. But if you read up on these topics, you can yourself get into beer making, and you can create if you're old enough, if you're of the age in your respective area. Okay, that's my disclaimer. But you can get into this very rewarding craft. It's not super expensive to get into. It is more time consuming, and it would be more expensive than to just, say, go to the store and buy a 6-pack. But being able to craft your own brew is, in and of itself, artistic reward. All right, I'm going to stop blabbing. I'm way over my time. Thanks again to Airlock Digital for this key. You guys are great. You are super kind. You are an awesome game company. And thank you all to my viewers. You guys are awesome. Lovely, spectacular. You're amazing. I hope you have wonderful days, every single one of you, and I will see you tomorrow. Until then, bye for now. Bye. It's a wave, not a thumbs up. Bye for now. Yep.